I want to bring back Steve Orlins, who's the president of the National Committee for U.S. China Relations, who's been listening along with me at this speech. And, you know, the takeaway from this, Stephen, and you alluded to this earlier, is that basically Geithner didn't really rock the boat ahead of the president's visit next week.
I agree. Not only he did not rock the boat. I think it was a speech which was very balanced. I think very fair to the Chinese, critical where he needed to be critical, and saying that they are in transition. Even with respect to the RMB valuation, he put in the speech something which he hadn't previously spoken about, which is, you know, the real rate versus the nominal rate. Given that China, and this is something we talked about with our Chinese economists over the last couple of days, which is given that China's inflation rate since the exchange rate was liberalized, inflation's been about 4% since June. You have a real exchange rate change of 7%, 3% in nominal terms, 4% in inflation. So he is bringing that into the mix, kind of laying the foundation for the argument that the Chinese are moving. We need to give them some time. And
that they're moving appropriately, it sounds like.
Well, he's saying they're moving too slow, but he's not. I mean, he's not. You know, he's not lecturing and hectoring them. I think he's adopted the right tone for the visit, which begins a week from today.
Stephen, do you expect a different kind of tone or a slight nuance when the president does come to visit D.C.?
On the exchange rate? Well, the Chinese are trying to make this. They feel that the relationship over the last 12 months has been a little rocky. It's been rocky in the security area. It's been rocky in the economic area.
And not helped by the November elections, by the way.
Well, I'm not sure. The Republicans actually on the exchange rate have moved it down on their agenda, not up on their agenda. So I think that actually having the Republicans control the House, not having a currency bill come forward may actually be a positive in that context.
Right.
But the Chinese are looking to right the ship. They see President Hu's visit as something that is going to lay the foundation for better relations over the future. So they see his visit as a real positive, not as one where they're going to be lecturing each other and screaming at each other.
Right. And there's going to be, as we always see, a lot of handshaking, dinners, a lot of nice talking. But what do you think is going to be the real progress, though, after Hu leaves?
Well, I think you've seen some of the progress already, by the way. We've seen, you know, the announcement on Friday of Morgan Stanley and J.P. Morgan getting the ability to invest in A-share underwriting in China was, I think, done prior to President Hu's arrival. The Bank of China taking renminbi deposits, done prior to President Hu's arrival. A lot of stuff is done prior to the arrival, and in fact, the visit itself is mostly about images rather than substance. So we'll see him going to a Chinese factory outside of Chicago, where he'll be using that image to demonstrate to the American people that Chinese investment in the United States creates jobs.
Bingo.
He'll be going to a,
absolutely,
he'll be going to a school. Yep.
That's exactly it. That's exactly what. I mean, that's going to be the agenda for President Hu, is to really change the minds of the Americans that what's happening in China is actually good for America. It creates jobs. Exactly. That's exactly the point.
And you could see in his speech, in Geithner's speech, that he talked about the hundreds of thousands of jobs that are being created by exports to China, and the fact that China's growing economy is an opportunity for America. His emphasis, it's a challenge, but it is an opportunity, which is exactly right. His speech, I think, really it's very good. I mean, it's something I'm very comfortable with, and something which I think Americans should be proud that that is the stance that we're taking prior to the visit of President Hu.
Stephen, we're going to have to leave it there, but I appreciate you joining us. That was Stephen Orlins, who, by the way, has spent a lot of time in Asia as head of Lehman Brothers Asia, as well as Carlyle Asia.